Wow, we're finally here! After months of speculation and discussion around our new Ghostbusters film, discussion which usually centered around the all-female cast. What? Women can't be funny. What is this? It's impossible! After the shock wore down and the comments began, and all the Trump voters out there felt justified in attacking a movie simply because girls were shooting laser beams at ghosts instead of boys, and then it came to the first trailer. A trailer so damn underwhelming, it just about got 1,000,000 downvotes before Sony's bots came in to delete comments here and there and make it appear that the only reason it was disliked was because of hateful bigots on the internet. A sentiment that the cast leaned into, calling internet users fat guys in their moms' basements, as though most people across the US and the world don't use the internet on a daily basis. So after all the hullabaloo, we finally got to this point. A point where some silly movie is being used as a linchpin for feminism and sexism and just about every other ism people can find it. But remember, it's just a movie. And if you don't like this reboot, that's fine. The originals are still there for you to watch too. So let's go into this review knowing that this movie was made so we could all laugh for a little bit and enjoy ourselves before we go back into the world of isms we live in. So cue the theme song and let's go! Now first off, let's roll through our new team of Ghostbusters this time around. Starting off with what I felt was hands down the best of the lot, Kate McKinnon's Holtzman. Holtzman was hands down the most enjoyable thing on screen pretty much at all times. She had countless great laughs that I can't even recite. My best measure of just how great she was comes in the fact that there were only 2 or 3 times in the whole movie that one of her lines didn't make me laugh. And going into the movie, she was not my most anticipated Ghostbuster. I had never quite loved her on SNL, but in this part, she just shines through. Even when she isn't speaking, her face and her gestures bring so much life and energy to the screen that she's just impossible to look away from. Whether she's explaining a bunch of science mumbo-jumbo or just riffing with the other Ghostbusters, McKinnon explodes with so much energy and just throws herself into every scene of the movie. A good thing, because she's easily one of the funniest characters I've seen in a while, and easily tops anything we've seen this summer, and dare I say the original Ghostbusters. Now second up on the Ghostbusters team is Kevin, the stumbling, fumbling assistant to the team. Chris Hemsworth was an absolute riot in this role, and really seems to have a knock for comedy after this part and the part in Vacation, but this far outweighs that role. He plays one of the most eccentric characters I've seen in a while, but does so with such a good spirit that it cracks you up almost every time. I mean, the guy was wearing no-glass glasses and covering his eyes when things were getting too loud. It's like he was straight out of an airplane movie, but he just made it work. Hell, he even had an entire dance sequence over the ending credits. Chris Hemsworth did a fantastic job of just being a weirdo and managing to stand out in the star-studded comedy cast. That's no small task at all. Next up, the rest of the Ghostbusters. And unfortunately, there is a noticeable gap between the first two and the rest of the Ghostbusters. Although that isn't necessarily their fault. I mean, Kristen Wiig is hilarious and probably could have gotten just as many laughs out of the Holtzman character. But she was given more of the straight woman role in the jokes, except for a few moments that she certainly came away with, like most of her scenes going after Chris Hemsworth, or a couple moments when she's interacting with Melissa McCarthy, but she just wasn't near McKinnon or Hemsworth levels, and neither were Leslie Jones or Melissa McCarthy. Now granted, I'm not a Melissa McCarthy fan. I haven't liked much that she's done since her awesome opening role with Bridesmaids, but she was fine in this role, although did nothing to really sway my opinion or stand out to me that much. And Leslie Jones has a very loud kind of comedy, kind of a Kevin Hart thing, but it worked pretty well in this movie and didn't feel like she overpowered the movie in any way, so I got what I was looking for from her. Both her and McCarthy certainly had some funny moments and good lines, but nothing compared to the first two characters, who just ran away with this whole movie. At some point, every time McCarthy was on screen, I was just like, yeah, come on, what's Holtzman doing? What's her reaction to this? I wonder where Kevin is. It's that kind of stuff, but none of them did anything terrible either. And now that we're through with the Ghostbusters, I can say that one of the most impressive things to me were the visuals in this movie. These ghosts not only look great, but are genuinely scary and terrifying in moments, like the entire cold open in that creepy mansion. I mean, the jokes were packed into this movie too. They were thrown out left and right until the big third act, where they kind of were set aside for mostly generic action and a very, very quick resolution that boiled down to, no, there's thousands of ghosts and a giant evil ghost everywhere. Oh, wait. Oh, we'll just shoot this thing while it's in this other thing and it'll all be good. And then they do that and it's all over. Well, after Kristen Wiig saves McCarthy when she's dragged in by the big evil ghost. It's a very quick end, but it almost had to be just because of the time factor. But I would rather have more jokes anyways. One weird thing about the end, they both escape from this vortex just in time, but they come back with white hair? And then the next scene, they dyed it, and they're all trashing Wiig's dye job because it's red, but McCarthy's sitting right there with some half gray, half black, freaking brown bird's nest on her head, and nobody's saying nothing about her messed up mop. But whatever, because the next scene, they both have perfect brown hair again anyway, so it didn't really matter, but why even do it? Just for a Garfield joke? Come on. Point is, I really like this movie. I'm sorry, Internet, but I think they did near the impossible. They actually, for the most part, did the original justice. And in some ways, they one-upped it. More so in the visuals and the scariness of the ghosts, but for a while there, I thought it really could be great. Till the third act kicked in. Heck, they even had cameos. Bill Murray showed up in his best Sunday dress just to get thrown out a window. Dan Aykroyd played himself driving a cab around. Sigourney Weaver even played a kind of Holtzman light there at the end for a little scene. Even good old Ernie Hudson showed up for a little bit as the owner of the hearse company who gave him the car. As much hate as this movie received prior to release, it just goes to show you gotta see the movie before you just hate on it. And after seeing this one, there isn't that much to hate. It's a comedy and did a great job of creating laughs in original ways while still staying true to the original. In the terribly disappointing world of reboots we live in, this movie really starts to feel great. It's not often we get a reboot this good anyways. And hey, if they made another, I would for sure go see it. Although what we really need is a Holtzman solo movie. But if I gotta watch her pal around with Melissa McCarthy just to see her, so be it. Ghostbusters 2016 was entirely enjoyable. I'd give it around a 7.6 out of 10. My only negatives being the third act, and the taming of Wiig, and the inclusion of McCarthy, and the fact that they ended up going ahead with the cameos anyways. But since Bill Murray pretty much plays exactly the same character as he was in the originals, why not just call it a sequel? It would have received so much less hate. It would have been better off in the long run. But I still enjoyed this movie quite a lot, and I think you will too. And real quick before I go, I can also say this isn't a comedy that just throws the characters by the wayside. Except for Leslie Jones, most of the Ghostbusters actually have a kind of sort of at least one real moment. I mean, Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig clearly have a nice little through line that they've known each other so long, and they both had some emotional moments with each other. And Holtzman even had a really real moment there when they finally finished off the ghosts, and she just had a little speech there that this was her family, and then could barely take it so much she'd be like, oh, and just try to get out of that scene. But this isn't a movie that just throws characters by the wayside, and I like that about this. You can actually build a movie that's funny and true to the characters for the most part, and Ghostbusters proved that, just like the old one did. So there you go. That is my review of the highly contentious Ghostbusters. Are you going to answer the call? Is that the entire tagline of the movie? Did they change it? I don't know what to call it. Whatever. Leave a comment if you want. Hopefully not too nasty. I trust you guys. It's fine. Subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff. I got more movie, TV, music, and other stuff coming out soon. Probably Game of Thrones and whatnot. Leave a like if you like this video. Leave a down like, a down button. Whatever. You guys know what it is. Anyways, thanks so much for watching, and I'll be back soon again with more stuff. This is Movie Mammoth. I'm heading back in my cave. See y'all.